Hey guys, it's Jolly and I'm in the garage. This is my piano and I had to come out here and get it all cleaned up. Pianos don't go in the garage usually, and it didn't at our old house, but when we moved to the farm, we didn't have room inside for our piano, so we had to put it out here. But that's okay, I can come out here and play. I just open the garage door and play, and the sounds bounce off the trees. I don't mind too much. Except one time last year, I was out here and a great big black snake crawled in the garage door and crawled right behind my piano. I looked and looked everywhere to try to find that snake and get it out of here, and I could not find it. So I have no idea if it's still in the garage or if it crawled out. I don't know where that thing is. I was a little bit nervous about playing for a little bit because I was afraid that snake was going to crawl up my leg while I was sitting here. That would be really, really bad. Did you know that there are snakes in the Bible? Our story today talks about a snake and how it was a very sneaky, tricky snake, and it tricked a lady into doing something she was not supposed to do. That lady's name was Eve. Eve eats in the garden. Adam and Eve were the first people to ever live. For a while, they were the only people living on the earth, and they lived in a place called the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden was a perfect place where they lived with God. They had nothing to hide from God, and the weather was perfect, so they didn't even need clothes. The garden had everything they needed, and everything was wonderful. God only had one rule. The rule was to not eat or even touch the fruit growing on the tree in the middle of the garden. This tree was called the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which means the tree of knowing the difference between right and wrong. God told Adam and Eve that if they ate the fruit from that tree, they would die. But if they followed that one rule, everything would be okay. One day, Eve was walking in the garden and along came a serpent, which is kind of like a snake. The serpent said to Eve, "Can you eat the fruit from all the trees in the garden?" Eve said, "We can eat from all the trees except the tree in the middle of the garden. If we eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, we will die." "You will not die if you eat the fruit from that tree," said the serpent. "You will become like God. You will know things like God knows things. That's why he doesn't want you to eat that fruit." Eve looked at the fruit. It looked delicious. She decided to go for it. She pulled it off the tree and took a bite. Then she took it to Adam, and he took a bite. They didn't die, but their eyes were open, and they realized they were naked. They panicked. They took fig leaves from the tree and sewed them together to make clothes to cover themselves. Then they heard God in the garden. They knew he would be upset, so they hid. God called for them. "We are here," said Adam. "Why are you hiding?" asked God. "Because we are naked," Adam replied. "Who told you you were naked? Did you eat the tree of knowledge and good and evil?" God asked. "The woman gave me the fruit and I ate it," Adam blamed Eve. "The serpent tricked me and I ate it," said Eve, blaming the serpent. God then took the skin from animals and made clothes for Adam and Eve to wear, but he was very disappointed that they had disobeyed him. They had sinned, and God cannot be in the same place with sin. Their sin separated them from God, and it had to be punished. God didn't just punish Adam and Eve and the serpent. He punished all of their kind. Because of what the serpent had done, all serpents would now have to crawl around on their bellies and be a hated creature. Because of what Eve had done, all women would now have to suffer and hurt when they have babies. Because of what Adam had done, all men would now have to work hard to grow food and hunt meat so that their families could eat. Because of what they all had done, they were all kicked out of the wonderful, perfect Garden of Eden. They could no longer live forever in God's perfect place. They had to leave, work hard to raise their family, and then one day they would die. Adam and Eve sadly left the garden to start life on their own, very sorry for what they had done. God placed special kinds of angels at the entrance with fire swords so they couldn't get back in, even if they tried. Hey guys, we're ready for activity number 1. Today's activity is about opposites. The word opposite means all the way different. If you don't know your opposites yet, it's okay. We're going to learn them together. We're going to work on this page together. But before we get started, I'm going to read the directions. Eve made a bad choice to disobey God. She knew what she was supposed to do, and she did the opposite. Obey and disobey are opposites, which means they are all the way different. Draw a line matching the items on the left to their opposites on the right. Okay, here we go. We're going to get started. This first picture right here, let's see, what is that? If you look very, very close, this is a girl in her bed, but her eyes are open. That means she is awake. Okay, we're going to look over here. If you're not awake, what are you? You're asleep. So we're going to look over here on this side, and we're going to see if we can find one where someone is asleep. No. There we go. You can see the Z's right there, and her eyes are closed. So we're going to draw a line from awake to asleep. Okay, let's look at the next one. We have a face. It is a happy face. If you are not happy, what are you? What is the opposite of happy? Let's look over here and see what we've got. We've got a boy, we have a down arrow, and we have another face. What is this face? What is that face doing? That is a sad face. If you are not happy, you are sad. Happy and sad are opposites. So we're going to draw a line from that face to the sad face. Next, we have a girl. What is all the way different from a girl? If you are not a girl, you are a boy. Very good. Let's see. Our boy is right up here at the top. We're going to draw a line from girl to boy. Great job. Okay, the last one that we have here is an arrow. Which way is this arrow going? It's pointing up. So if you're not going up, if we're trying to think about our opposite, if it's not up, what is all the way different from up? Down. Down is all the way different. The opposite of up is down. There we go, guys. We figured out our opposites. Great job. Hey guys, it's time for our math activity. Today's math activity is subtraction. That's a pretty big word, but it's okay. We can do this together. We can figure all this stuff out, even new big words. Subtraction just means to take away. When you subtract something, you take something away. But before we get started, I'm going to read our directions. Eve only took one fruit from the tree and ate it, and that was enough to disappoint God. Look at the trees below. Count the fruit on each tree on the left. On the right, draw the same tree, but take away one fruit. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to count the fruit on the tree. So we're going to start up here with these two trees. Okay, this tree has 1, 2. Okay, so now our job is to draw the same tree, but take away one fruit. Let's see what that looks like. I'm going to take away one fruit by covering it up with my finger. How many is left? We have one left, so we're going to draw fruit right here. There we go. So 1, 2, take away 1, leaves 1 fruit. All right, that wasn't too bad. Okay, now let's go down to these. We're gonna do these trees. Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now to draw it over here, we're gonna take away 1 fruit. I'm gonna take it away by covering it up with my finger. How many are left? 1, 2. So we're gonna draw 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, take away 1 is 1, 2. Great job. Okay, now let's do this last one. Oh, it has lots of fruit, but I bet we can handle this. Okay, we're gonna count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have to draw over here, take away 1. We're gonna take away 1 off of our tree. So I'm gonna cover it up with my finger. Let's see, how many are left? 1, 2, 3. We're gonna draw those 3 over here on this tree. 1, 2, 3. So 4, take away 1, is 1, 2, 3. Good job. Okay, now it's time to read our verse of the day. Therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden. Genesis 4:23. Okay, guys, this is our verse from the Bible, from the real Bible. When Jolly tells you a story, I'm saying it in different words than the real Bible because sometimes the Bible words are hard to understand. But this is what it looks like in the real Bible. And this is the part where God was telling them they had to leave the Garden of Eden. Okay, what we're going to look for in our verse today, let's see over here, the letter E. So we're going to start all over with reading our verse, and we're going to see if we can catch some E's. We can find the big E or the little E. Okay. Therefore, oh my goodness, I see lots of E's in that word. Wow, let's see. First one, there's an E. There's another one. There's an E. And I think there's one more. There's an E. Wow, 3 in that same word. Okay, let's go. Let's start all over again. Therefore, there's an E in that one. Circle, circle, circle. Therefore, the Lord God sent. Do you see an E? I see an E. Where's the E? It's right here. Ta-da! Okay. Therefore, the Lord God sent him forth from the, that's the same word we had up here, right here. We got another E right there in the end. Therefore, the Lord God sent him forth from the garden. There's an E. Therefore, the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden. What's in this word? Oh, goodness. I see this little E right here. We found lots of those. But what else do I see? I see a big E. We haven't had one of those yet. Let's circle that too. Okay. Therefore, the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden. Genesis. More E's. Circle. Circle. Therefore, the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden. Genesis 4:23. Wow, look at all those E's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 E's in one verse. Great job, guys. Hey guys, it's time for activity number 3. It's time to learn our big word of the day. Our big word today is disobey. We heard that word in our story when Eve disobeyed God. Eve knew she wasn't supposed to eat that fruit, but she did it anyway. She disobeyed. Disobey means to do something you were told not to do, or to not do something you were told to do. Those sound a whole lot the same, but they're a little bit different. Both of them mean not listening, but they're a little bit different. This one at the top, to do something you were told not to do. That's like if your mommy says, don't jump on the bed, and you did it anyway. She told you not to do something, and you did it anyway. That would be disobey, to disobey your mom. This one, to not do something you were told to do. Wow, that one would be like if mommy says, clean up the mess on the table, and then you did not do it. She told you to do something, and you didn't do it. So it's a lot the same. Both of them are not listening, but they're just a little bit different. But when we disobey, it means we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, now we're going to do our guessing game. See if you can guess who I'm talking about. Clue number 1. I lived in the Garden of Eden. I didn't know I was naked until I ate the fruit. I tried to hide from God. I had to leave the garden because I disobeyed. Eve tricked me. Who's it gonna be? Who did Eve trick? Eve tricked Adam. Today our guessing game is Adam. If you guessed Adam, awesome job. You were being a great listener in our story to listen to all these clues and know it was Adam. Great job. Okay, now we're going to move over here and we're going to do our drawing activity. But before we get started, I'm going to read the directions so we can know what we're supposed to draw. Eve ate the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. In the space below, draw a fruit tree. Oh, goodness, we're going to draw a tree today, and we'll have to put some fruit on there. Okay, to draw our tree, the first thing I'm going to do, you all can draw your trees however you want to, but to draw my tree, I'm going to draw the bottom first. Like this, straight line down and come out a little bit on the bottom, and then I'm going to draw the top. And I'm going to kind of do it like a cloud. There we go. Does that look like a tree? A little bit. What were we supposed to put on our tree? Fruit. We need fruit on our tree. We're going to draw, I'm just going to do I'm going to do great big dots to look like fruit. Maybe give it just a stem like that, like an apple on there. Okay, how many fruit do I need to put on this tree? Let's see. There we go. There we go. There we go. Here in the middle. There we go. How many did I put on there? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my fruit tree. Great job, guys. Hey guys, it's time to talk about our letter of the day. Today's letter of the day is the letter E. E makes this sound E. Sometimes it says its name and it says E, and sometimes it makes the sound eh. It has two sounds. We've talked about a couple of letters that have two sounds. E is one of those special letters that makes two sounds. It says E and eh. This one is our capital letter E. This one is our lowercase letter e. They don't look the same, do they? Some of our letters do look a lot alike, but these are very, very different. But they're not too hard to make, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to make our big E and our little e. But before we do, I'm going to talk about our fence picture. Our fence picture helps me to know exactly where to put my stuff when I'm writing. It helps me to know where to start my lines and stop my lines. So I like to draw on the fence picture. That way when I come over here where there's not a fence, I can still imagine. I can still pretend that there is this fence picture, and it can help me to know where to put things. Okay, this line right here, it's the ground. I call that the ground, and that looks like this line. This line right here on the fence looks like this line. This line is the sky, and it is like this line. Okay, in our picture we have some clouds. We're not going to use our clouds today, but some letters don't go all the way up to the sky, but they do go taller than the fence, so that's when we use our clouds. Then we have our flowers. Some of our letters are at the flowers. Sometimes they start and stop at the flowers. Our letter today stops and starts at the flowers, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And then we have our roots under the ground. Some letters go under the ground, but these do not. They stay above the ground. All right, we're ready to get started to make our E. First, we're going to do our capital letter E. You're going to start at the sky and go all the way down to the ground and stop. Then we're going to go back to the sky and we're going to go over and stop. The next step is to go to the fence. When you go to the fence, we're going to go over again, but not as far as the first time, just a little bit shorter. And then we're going to go to the ground, and we're going to go over the same that we did on in the sky. So there we go. There's our big letter E. Down, over, 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 3 overs. Okay, now we're going to make our lowercase e. It's a little bit tricky. We're going to start at the flowers on this one. We're going to start in the middle of the fence, and we're going to go over. And then we're going to curve up to the fence and curve back down to the ground, and then come up just a little. There we go, just like at the flower, at the leaves on that flower. And that is how we make our lowercase e. That one is a very tricky letter, but it's okay because we're going to practice that one some more. We're going to move over here to our lines and we're going to try to imagine that these look like this. Okay, the first thing we're going to do to make our big E, this line we're going to make big E's. We're going to start at the sky, go all the way down to the ground and stop. Then we're going to go back to the sky and go over. Then we're going to go to the middle and go over. And then we're going to go to the bottom and go over. There we go. There's a big E. Let's make another one. Start at the sky, down to the ground, back to the sky, over, go to the fence, over, go to the ground, over. Okay, one more time. Start at the sky, down to the ground, back to the sky and go over, go to the fence and go over, and go to the ground and go over. Great job. We have 1, 2, 3 E's. Good job, guys. Okay, now on this line, we're going to do our little letter E's. I'm going to slow down a little bit because this is a little tricky. Okay, we're going to start by imagining our flowers. Remember, the flowers don't go all the way up to the fence. They're like in the middle right here. So we're going to start right here, and we're going to go over, and then we're going to curve up to the fence, then come back down to the ground, touch the ground, and come back up just a little. That's how you make a little E. Let's do another one. Start in the middle, like where the flowers are, and go over, curve up to the fence, down to the ground, and then up a little bit more. Be careful to not close it all the way. We need to leave a space right there in the middle. Okay, we're gonna do one more. Start at where the flowers are and go over, curve up to the fence, down to the ground, touch the ground, and come back up. There we go, awesome. 3 little E's, 3 big E's, 3 little E's. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, now on this bottom part right here, we're gonna do a word, extra practice word. Our extra practice word today is Eve. Eve starts with E. Here we go. Let's make a big E. Because Eve is a name, we have to start it with a capital letter. So we're gonna start it with our big E. Start at the sky, down to the ground, back to the sky and go over, to the fence and go over, to the ground and go over. Okay, the next letter in the word Eve is one that we haven't learned yet. The next letter is the letter V. V says V. It kind of makes my lip tickle to say that sound. But to make a little V, we're gonna start at the fence and go down like a slant and then come up like a slant. There we go, that's what a V looks like. And then the last letter in the word Eve is a little E. It's a lowercase e. So we're going to come over here and we're going to start in our flowers and go over, go up to the fence, down to the ground, and up just a little bit. There we go. We spelled the word Eve. Great job, guys. Hey guys, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson all about Eve and the sneaky snake. It was a good one, teaching us how to obey and how we should always obey God. What else did we talk about today? We talked about opposites. Remember, obey and disobey and sleep and awake. Those are fun. Those are pretty easy to do once you realize what the rules are about opposites and how it's all the way different. We also talked about taking away and how we drew the trees and we took an apple away before we drew the second tree. We talked about our word of the day, which was disobey, which means to not do what you're told or to do what you're told to not do. So it's just not listening is what it is. When somebody tells you to do something or not do something and you just don't listen, that's disobeying. We have to be careful to not disobey. Not disobey our parents or our teachers or God, most important. We're supposed to follow the rules that God has for us in life. We also talked about the letter E. E is for Eve. and lots of other stuff. I sure hope that you all enjoyed today. I hope you enjoyed your story. I hope you learned something from it, because I sure enjoy doing this stuff with you. Until next time, Jolly loves you.